mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by donating to Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Tonight we take a look at what it's like to investigate the paranormal from an intuitive side. What's it like seeing and communicating with spirits while the rest of the researchers aren't? Stephanie Burke has been very intuitive since she was a young child, having the gift passed down from previous generations. Growing up with a medium and a ghost hunter for parents, she developed a love and curiosity for the paranormal and explores it any chance she can. Stephanie now uses her gifts to help others understand that death doesn't always mean the end, but rather a new beginning to a new chapter. As much as she loves giving the people the opportunity to reconnect with their loved ones in spirit, her specialty is giving those spirits a voice and an opportunity to tell their stories. She firmly believes that we can learn a lot from those that have come before us, and there's no telling what secrets they may hold. Her website is stephanieburke.com. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the news with the SOR Newswire's Captain Shirk updates it daily. Stephanie Burke, it's been a long time since we had you on Spaced Out Radio, but I'm sure glad you're back. How you been doing, my friend?
I've been great. How about you?
I got to tell you, literally, because I share everything with my audience, well, almost everything, I'm a little grumpy right now. I'm a little grumpy. My 16-year-old daughter, who doesn't even have her driver's license yet, she has her learners, went and bought a car today without even telling dear old dad. So I'm a little cranked up right now about this. How do you do that? How do you do that?
Because teenagers, that's why. It's got to be. I'm sure you can remember one thing right now that you did that you didn't tell your parents about at 16.
Oh, you know what? I remember when I was 15 years old, okay? And all my friends were smoking. And not pot, just cigarettes. Cigarettes was the big thing, because you could still buy cigarettes here at any age. It didn't matter. There was no, like, I remember, like, when I was like 12, 13 years old, my mom getting me to ride my bike down to the corner store to buy her cigarettes. Anyways, long story short, I remember my dad caught me with a pack of cigarettes. And I didn't even smoke. I had a pack of cigarettes mainly because if my friends wanted one, I would have one for them. I know it was weird teenage type thinking, but when I got caught, holy hell did I get in trouble. Wow. So yes, you know, we do stupid things as kids sometimes. You are absolutely
the idea
right.
is to not get caught, right?
Exactly. Well, what didn't you get caught on? Come on, tell us a story.
Well, I think my mom's probably listening, so I'm probably better off keeping that and taking it to the grave.
All right. Well, that's just fine then. Hi, Mom, if you are listening. Stephanie, you have been a paranormal investigator pretty much your entire life, and it's very rare that we actually have someone of your stature come on here and talk about ghosts and intuition and everything. But realistically, you have been a ghost hunter your entire life. I mean, you grew up intuitive. Your parents were ghost hunters. So this is something that has been second nature to you. What's it like growing up in a household where this is just commonplace? Because as you know, and our audience knows, the majority of us out there, I would say well over 90%, 95%, fall into our experiences that we have. We don't expect them. It's not part of our daily lives. So what was that like growing up in a household where you were ghost hunting literally since you were born?
It was really weird to go to kindergarten. It was definitely a horrible wake-up call. Actually, it was preschool first. My life was ghosts. My life was communicating with the other side. My everyday activity was surrounded by paranormal activity, and I thought that that was normal. I thought that everything that I experienced as a child was supposed to happen in everybody's household. Being toddler age, or, my daughter's age now, it was common. It was not something that my family talked about. The house that I grew up in and my parents still live in was built in 1792 and it was part of the Underground Railroad. So it was like Grand Central Station all the time. You had the people that lived in the house, but you also had the people that formerly lived in the house or decided to live in it after death. And they became part of the family. It was interesting now that I can look back on it and understand what was actually happening. But at the time, it was just, commonplace. I waved to them. I'd have conversations with them. It wasn't until, I think, going into preschool, going into kindergarten, I could have just been blamed for having a giant imagination by people that didn't understand what I actually was going through. I remember trying to explain things to my friends at 4 years old, 3 years old even, or, to teachers or other people. And it was just, laughed off like, oh, haha, that's so cute. Or, really? Oh, that actually happened? And, just like we would do to, kids nowadays, now that I'm an adult. But it wasn't until my grandmother died when I was 7 that I realized I had her here physically one moment and then not physically the next, that I actually understood and I could, kind of put 2 and 2 together and realize that what I was experiencing was called death. Even though I didn't understand what death meant, my mom had to explain to me what happened to my grandmother. But before all of that, my grandmother is the one that I got my gifts from. So she nurtured it while I was still, able to have that relationship with her here in the physical world. And before, that's like a whole other level of the paranormal, the psychic and the mediumship and the abilities. I remember finding pictures when I was really little, around the same age, that I didn't understand. Why did they look funny? They looked to me like what I would describe at the time as black or white. They were taken with an infrared film and a very old camera, and my father would just explain to me like I was looking for ghosts. My grandparents owned a travel agency, and my father worked for them. He traveled the country and the world looking for ghosts in the 60s and 70s. That was my life. That was normal. And he continued to tell me ghost stories my entire life and tell me about all the local legends. And that's how I grew up, with this love of history and this love of the paranormal that I share with my father. My mother was the medium that wanted nothing to do with her abilities. So it was her mother that I had to learn from, even though she would kind of sneak in little things here and there that I'm not sure she would admit, even though she was probably listening. So it was, now that I look back at it, super strange, super interesting, but I don't think I would give it up for anything, because I feel like if I didn't have the abilities that I do, or I didn't grow up the way that I did, I don't know if I would be who I am. I don't know if I could just remove that part of me and continue on with my everyday life. It's brought really special people into my life. It's changed my life for the better. It's done a lot of things for me that I would never expect. So I'm really grateful for it, but it's definitely a strange way to grow up.
So growing up like that, how hard was it for you in school and going through high school having this? Did you have to learn your lessons the hard way of who you could talk to and who you couldn't?
Oh, God, high school sucked. I think it started probably in elementary school, where I realized when I looked at people, I automatically knew what type of person they were. And I would keep my distance, or I would do my own thing. I wouldn't get involved in the everyday drama that kids, get involved in, starting off with, silly things on the playground, and it builds up to high school. And I remember in middle school, so it's probably like, 12, 13, we would pass notes back and forth all the time. And, boy drama was, going on around that age. And I remember my friends would write me notes, and I would write things back to them, and those things would come true. And my words would hold weight at 12 and 13 years old. And my friends used to joke with me and tell me I was like a fortune cookie. And that nickname stuck with me throughout high school. And I just kind of became this friend that had this uncanny ability to give really good advice that would always lead people in the exact direction that they needed to go, or the exact way they needed to act in order to get to the place that they wanted to be at. Not knowing what I was doing, I had no idea that was a psychic ability. I had no idea that was something that was supposed to happen because I'm different. I knew I was different because I could see ghosts physically, but I didn't realize that I was different because I knew things that other people didn't know. That took me a long time to realize that was also one of those things that wasn't normal. When I got to high school, it became really bad for me. I would say things at the same time as other people. I would answer their questions before they asked them, before they were done asking them too. And it got to the point where I could see spirits around them, and I would just blurt things out about those spirits accidentally. I kind of called it word vomit, like spirit word vomit. Or I would tell them things almost in a trance-like state. Like it would just pop into my head and I would spit it out and then not even realize what came out of my mouth. And that made it really awkward to make friends. So I was completely shy. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to make friends because it scared me that I was going to say something that I couldn't control, and it would be so scarily accurate for these people. Like, nobody reacts well to anything like that. That's not a normal thing that people deal with every day. And I still deal with it now at almost 32, that people realize what I'm like, and it freaks them out if they think that I can tell that they're lying, if I can tell what's going on in their head, if I can read their thoughts, if I know anything about their personal life. It really bothers them and it really rattles them. And those are usually the people I want to stay away from, because obviously you're hiding something. But I was able to tell every single time somebody was. I was able to tell if somebody wasn't a good person. I remember my friends getting mad at me thinking, oh, you're just being mean. You're not giving so-and-so a chance. And I wouldn't. I would stand my ground, and then they would come back to me and be like, can you believe what they did to me? And I'm like, well, I saw it coming. I understood that was what was going to happen. It doesn't mean I didn't make mistakes. It didn't mean that I didn't try to follow the crowd at one point. But the more that I realized that I was correct in my gut feelings, the more I learned how to trust them. And I think that's a lifelong battle for anyone, because we're all human. But I'm a lot better at it now than I was at 16.
So as you aged through this and you realized that this was part of your life plan, your destiny, the line you need to walk, whatever cliche you want to use, going through life with this gift, I'm sure that there were people out there who thought you were the weird one, even growing up, or people who tried to take advantage of you for their own benefits, or people tried to show you off like you were some sort of toy or game. I mean, how hard is that to find trustworthy friends going and growing up with this? You know, especially as you get older, where people aren't as nice as they are when they're kids.
So I kept it a secret as long as I could when I was younger. And I just think I got the label as like the shy, weird kid. And I was okay with that because it was safe. I think the only person or people that knew while I was in high school was the guy that I was dating, because I dated him for all 4 years of high school, and my best friend. And that was it. And I vowed to myself, once I graduated, I was going to go to college. It was going to be a whole new experience. And, you know, you don't really have a lot of time to make friends in college because the workload is there and you're focusing. And I worked really hard while I was in high school to get scholarships to go to law school. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to be, you know, anything but this. I'm going to erase this from my entire life. It's never going to be there ever again. I'm not really sure why I thought that was possible, but, you know, hard-headed, headstrong teenager. I was going to erase it all because my mom wanted nothing to do with hers for a very long time. And I saw how she kind of just pushed it out of her life, and I thought it was possible, not realizing that I was just on a different level. It was it was something that was meant for me, and she did her work in a completely different way. She was a nurse for 30 years, and, she counseled and helped people in that aspect. And that was her path, and mine was going to be different. And I just thought that maybe I could follow hers and be the same. So it wasn't until I think I was 19 where I finally kind of had to give in to everything that I was and who I was supposed to be. And I was scared to death, and I didn't know what my path was. And I would be lying to you if I could tell you that I know certainly what it is right now. I think that that's ever evolving and changing, and we are as humans. And, we're supposed to keep growing. We're supposed to keep, following, something in order to get to where we're supposed to be. But at that time, I had been sneaking around doing readings professionally since I was about 16, because I felt like I needed to figure out what it was and what I could do with it. What were all these things? And I had mentors at the time that I was grateful for that are no longer mentors for me because I kind of outgrew that part of my life. But I worked at it for those 3 years and just kind of like came to an understanding. And I used to hate making people cry. I used to hate, giving them information that I felt was too harsh or could upset the balance of their life at that moment. And I realized that I had to take myself out of it. So as I kind of broke into the public eye a little bit, I definitely did have people that wanted to use me, that became jealous of what I was able to do, or of who I was. I had people that pretended to be my friend just to get opportunities that they thought were going to come to them. I had a really crazy time at one point where people were submitting me for TV shows without my permission and thinking that they were going to become rich off of delivering me to these production companies. It was really insane for a while. Yeah. Yep. To the point where I was going to have to get restraining orders. It was really nutty. And I wasn't okay with it because I'm a really shy person. Anybody that is very close in my life will tell you I hate attention. It makes me super nervous. And I've overcome a lot, working at it every day to talk to large crowds of people. But it was not easy for me at one point. 10 years ago, forget it. And I started to realize at one point that the closest people in the world to me wanted nothing from me. They just wanted my genuine friendship. I remember one friend that I had would constantly be asked by other people, well, why don't you ask her for readings, or why don't you consult her, or whatever? And she was just I kind of forget that she has this ability. I don't see her as that. My best friend in the entire world right now, people will ask her all day long, can you call so-and-so? Can you do this? Can you do that? And she's like, no, I'm not doing that. And I always tell her, it's fine, because she's the one person in the entire world that would do anything for me, that I completely trust totally in that aspect. And as far as friendship goes, and she won't bother me with anything. And sometimes it annoys me because it's a simple answer or something I can help with. But she never wanted to make me feel that way because she lived through people doing it to me. So it was a lot of trial and error. It was really difficult at times. And sometimes you fall into it. Sometimes you think oh, wow, someone wants to be my friend, because I think we've all experienced something like that in our lives. And with this human experience that we go through, you have to have those ups and downs. You have to have those disappointing moments. You have to go through things in order to learn more about yourself and, where you're meant to be in life. So it definitely wasn't easy. At this point in my life, it's still not easy. I have a very, very small circle of people that I trust, that I consider family, not even friends, and even people that I considered close to me at one point, I watch them closely because I've been burned so many times, and end up being able to pick out exactly when they're going to burn me. And I just distance myself before it happens, or I distance myself as it's about to happen. So I've gotten really good at figuring it out and figuring out other people, but I'm definitely not perfect.
We've only got less than 3 minutes here before we got to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, Stephanie Burke is our guest tonight. Intuitive Paranormal is what we're talking about. In regards to what you've gone through, has it been a lonely life?
I wouldn't say it's been lonely, no. I think if it ever was, I've chosen it to be that way, just to protect myself. I've definitely been through more than the average bear. I've experienced a lot in a short amount of time. And I think that that's taught me a lot, and it's made me a stronger person. And there's been times where I've wondered, why is this happening to me? Or, why did I have to go through this or experience it in order to become who I'm supposed to be? But I feel like slowly I understand why those things happen. People will come to me and say, I'm experiencing this, or I want to commit suicide, or, because this happened to me. And I'll look at them and say, that happened to me too. And I feel like those are the reasons why I've had to go through those things in order to help other people. So it hasn't been lonely. It's been interesting. It's been difficult at times, but I wouldn't take it back for anything. If I can help people with my story, or if I can change people's lives, or if I can just change one person before I die, that's all that matters.
Well, that's a great attitude to have. You have to remain positive in such a tough time where a lot of people are dealing with a lot of stress here. So how do you maintain your positivity in dealing with what you deal with? Because dealing with ghosts, it's a heavy energy to carry.
That's definitely a heavy energy, but I would say feeling the feelings of other people and knowing what they're thinking all the time and feeling their energy before they open their mouths, or having someone close to you tell you, nope, everything's fine, and it's not, eats away at you. Being an empath and being psychic, I think, is 100 times worse than dealing with ghosts, because they're already dead. And they tell one story, they tell their story, and it's my job to tell their story to the world. That's the easy part. Dealing with the living is 10 times worse.
I can totally see that. We got about 30 seconds here, yet you do it. This is who you are. This is what you do. How do you battle it every day?
It's not easy. I'm not perfect. I fail every single day, but I try to look at it as I fail forward, because if I don't try, then I can't ever figure it out.
Well, that's a good way to put it. Stephanie, I'm going to get you to hold on here because we are going to go to break at the bottom of the hour. We're going to get into some ghost stories next, because I'm sure Stephanie has quite a few that she wants to join us. Yes, as you heard, she says she's got it. She's got the stories for us. We're going to get all wooed up here in the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Coming up with Stephanie Burke, her website, stephanieburke.com, if you want to check it on out. We'll be back with more right after this on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a Space Traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Always a pleasure to broadcast to you live. Reminder that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Don't forget our website is spacedoutradio.com. We've got a plethora of features for you there, so make sure you check it on out while you're listening to the show, if you can. But if you're driving in your car, don't do it. That can be dangerous. Stephanie Burke is our guest tonight, Intuitive Paranormal. Her website, I made a mistake on her website earlier. It is Steph Burke, so STEPH Burke.com. That's Burke with an E on the end. So StephBurke.com. Make sure you check that on out. Steph, how are you doing?
I'm great. How about you?
Good. I'm having a fun time. Fun time right now. Why not? Why not? It's what we do around here on a nightly basis. I'm jacked up with energy. I love it. I got a nice cold Pepsi going, so it's all good. It's all good.
Well, it's nice and early where you're at, too.
Yes. It's only 9:37 p.m. here, so I'm always.
It's almost 1 a.m. here.
I know. I mean,
Crazy.
That's what you East Coasters get. That's what you East Coasters get for doing that livelihood over there. East Coast trips me out. Totally trips me out because the whole time zone thing just screws me right up. Oh, yeah. It's hilarious. Yep, I get to go to... Actually, I went to Canada this past year, but the opposite side of you. And I was an hour in the future compared to what I was used to. So that was really different for me. You went to Nova Scotia?
I did.
I've never been there.
I did. I went to Oak Island.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yes. I've heard that's beautiful there. Really have.
It was a really nice place, actually.
That's what I've heard.
I was actually kind of surprised by it because I wasn't sure what to expect, and it was very cute, very quaint, and just nice. The Halifax area I really flew into, and it was clean and enjoyable. So, and everybody was very friendly. Everyone we met was friendly. So, I definitely want to go back.
So you definitely didn't meet any Toronto Maple Leafs fans, which is good, because they would have told you how good they were. They would have totally told you how good they were. But nonetheless, moving on here, because anytime we can get a nice little rib in on our Toronto Maple Leaf listeners, we'd take full advantage of that. That's what we do around here. But it's a Canadian thing to do. It is. It's totally the Canadian thing to do. We have to. We absolutely have to. Steph, out of all your years of working with the paranormal, and I'm not talking, investigative side from what you do with your personal or your professional experiences, but on a personal level, do you have a couple stories that have really stuck with you over the years that you just can't shake out of your head? I would love for you to share those with our audience.
Ooh, okay. Every time I'm asked a question like this, I feel like I should have this list to go to in order to pull from, because there's been so much. My entire life has been so much. And I think for a long time, I thought it was normal. So when somebody experiences a spirit for their first time or their second time or their third time, it's not something that they experience all the time. It's memorable to them. It's shocking to them. It creates this imprint within their memory and in their brain that they can go back to at any time, where for me, it's all blended together because it's so normal. There have been times that I thought it was normal and it wasn't. There have been times where it's been downright terrifying to the average bear. There have been times where I've said to myself, like, what in the world just happened? And I didn't even think that was possible. There have been times that I've helped people that I never expected to help in a million years. There have been times where I've shocked myself with the information that's come through to me during a reading. And those are all different little levels of what I deal with on a daily basis, depending on what type of situation I'm in. So, I think I think my most memorable and most terrifying, and I may have told it on the show in the past. I know I've talked about it a few times, was being able to experience my grandmother after she had passed when I was 7 years old for the first time in a non-physical form. And for me, it was comforting to know that she was still there, because I woke up every single day and this woman was in my house already. Like, she was downstairs ready to take care of my brother and I, even if my mom was there. Like, we were just so close that she was there every day. So to not have her there while she was sick and then not to have her there after she passed was really weird. So she would visit me every single night in my bedroom. And I was laying in my mom's bed because even at 7 years old, I felt like if I was with my mom all the time, it was somehow going to make the passing of her mother better. And I would crawl to the end of the bed, and I would have a conversation with my grandmother, and I would relay conversations back and forth between the two of them. And, even though my mom had that ability herself, she was so grief-stricken that it was, impossible at that time. Anybody that does this truly for a living will tell you if their mental state is off or their emotions are off, it's hard to tap into that other part. Like, if you can't help yourself, how are you going to help other people? And she would show up every single night. I would give information to my mother from her, go back and forth, and do my thing. And there was one night where I was waiting for her to appear, and instead this dark black mass moved into the room and blocked out my nightlight. So the room was pitch dark. And the only thing that I can describe it as is it looked exactly like a Dementor from Harry Potter. Obviously, Dementors didn't come out till much later, but it looked exactly like it. It had glowing red eyes, and it was floating above my mother and I and growling. And I remember being completely paralyzed with fear. I couldn't scream. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. I couldn't tap my mother, nothing. I thought my mom was sleeping throughout this entire thing. And I didn't understand, but I just remember feeling like complete dread. Like, what is this thing? What do I do? How do I get rid of it? How do I protect me? How do I protect my mom? Like, where's my brother? Where's my dad? And my grandmother showed up. And she just looked at me and told me, like, honey, look at me. Like, everything's going to be okay. And she told me how to get rid of it. So I did what she asked me to do. And I remember it kind of like shrinking and popping. And then it was gone. The moment it left, my mother let out the most blood-curdling scream I've ever heard in my entire life. My father came running upstairs and asked her what was wrong. And she relayed everything that I described to you just now to my father. And at that point, I remember thinking at 7 years old, I was really hoping that that was a bad dream. But I just heard the words come out of my mother's mouth about exactly what I saw. Like, word for word description, exactly how I saw it above me. And
that had to take your breath away.
It did. But at the same time, it stirred this curiosity within me that I will never be able to describe to anyone, because I'm still not even sure why it would. And I remember feeling very grateful for my grandmother, and that kind of empowered me in a way that I don't know how else to describe, except for that word of empowerment. That she had my back. She was there when I needed her most, even though she wasn't physically here. That I can call on her if I need her. And that created that relationship with her on the other side. And come to find out, earlier that day, my mom had, being completely stricken with grief, stopped by to see a psychic, just wanting to hear from my grandmother. And whoever she went to didn't know what they were doing, did not close down the reading properly, and that is what followed us home. So,
no way.
Yeah, because our house is extremely haunted, but not evil at all. So that was really traumatizing is the best way to describe it. But I feel like it kind of led me down the path that I'm on now, because it made me wonder, why did that happen? Here I am. I'm, considered a psychic medium. I do readings for other people. And whoever that was that did that reading didn't do the right thing. And why did this thing show up because of that? So, I had all these little questions at 7 years old that I couldn't answer. So it kind of set me off on this lifelong journey of trying to figure out why. Trying to figure out why I was different. Trying to figure out why I could see things that other people couldn't. It took me a long time to realize after, one of my best friends in the entire world is a medium. And she's a phenomenal medium. But she doesn't read the same way I do. She doesn't see things the same way that I do. Even other mediums that I met along the way, I realized that I was different from, because I can see them physically like you and I, as opposed to how most mediums just get this picture in their mind's eye, or they get impressions or memories or different things like that. I always communicated differently. So even now, in this point in my life, I still don't understand why my gift might be different than other people's, where other people's are so similar to each other. So that really set me on this path of why. And is there a bigger or larger purpose to serve?
Right.
Am I this way for a reason? And what's the end game? What's the end goal? What am I supposed to do? And I still don't have all those answers. I'm not even sure if I have any of them. But I know that I'm helping people along the way. I'm trying to change the world for the better. That's my end goal. Whether it's with the paranormal or my abilities or not, it's just who I am and it's how I'm built as a person. But I have learned along the way that my experiences and my abilities and the people that I've met through the paranormal have changed something somewhere along the way, have served a purpose somewhere along the way. I've helped a ton of people. Even if I didn't think that I was, even if I wasn't sure if I could, even if I didn't feel like I did. So it served a purpose somewhere, but I'm not sure that I'm even close to the end of trying to figure out where I'm supposed to be. So that story definitely changed me forever. And I'm not sure if it changed me for the better or the worse. I don't have those answers, but it scared me in the time that it happened, but it also made me completely fearless to go head on with something like that in the future.
See, I totally know the path you're going down, and not to try and one up here or anything, but it brought back a lot of memories, because when people ask me, why did you start Spaced Out Radio? It was because I didn't have the answers. I didn't know where else to turn. And that is the biggest and hardest question for, I think, anybody in this field who has experienced anything, not researched, experienced anything, is the word why. Why me? Why did it happen? And it really puts a lot of people on a different journey and a different path that can be scary. It can be difficult. It could be mind-bending. A lot of people in this field suffer from depression and anxiety because they aren't getting the answers that they need or that they deserve. So when you sit there and say that even though you have been born with these gifts and this ability to communicate with spirit on the other side, and have been given the gift to help people struggling with their own paranormal questions that they have, I think it's pretty admirable that you're still able to admit that the lack of answers and the lack of knowing is still a trial and tribulation for you, because a lot of people won't admit that.
Oh, absolutely. And I wouldn't be who I am if I wasn't truthful and completely blunt and honest to a fault about everything in my life. I think even now I've experienced, we'll call it a paranormal resume, for lack of a better term, because it seems like the field in this day and age, especially with the changeover from Destination America to Travel Channel, people are so keen on getting on TV. They're so keen on getting their 15 minutes. They're so keen on attention and building their brand and building their social media following and doing YouTube shows and doing, Amazon shows or trying to get to a bigger platform, trying to get themselves noticed. I never resonated with any of that. Like I described earlier, people were, trying to sell me to production companies and to networks for already running shows, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I've been able to do successful TV shows. I have been able to be a co-host of a successful radio show. I've been able to travel the world and lecture and do gallery readings and do ghost hunts and do all these things. But my purpose for all of that was never to be in the public eye, because that still scares the crap out of me. It was to try to reach more people, try to understand where I'm going, who I'm supposed to be, try to figure out this path that I'm being led down, because for a long time I fought that path and I fought it hard. There are days where I still wake up and I still want to fight it because certain things don't feel right, or I can't understand where it's supposed to go. And sometimes you kind of have to give it up and just go forward, whether you want to or not, or continue doing what you're doing because it might benefit other people. I remember, and I'm hoping that this is okay to talk about, but without saying names, I showed up to an event this past fall. This was the year that I told myself I was not going to travel as much as I did in previous years. And I somehow ended up booked every single weekend the entire fall. And before that, traveling sporadically here and there, but at least 2 weekends a month. And I think I did a good 8 weeks on the road in a row. And I was burnt out. I was tired. I was exhausted because every single weekend I was doing private readings. I was doing gallery readings. I was doing late night ghost hunts. I was doing lectures. And as much as I love all those things, I am also human and I need sleep because all of those energetic things take the life out of you. And I remember sitting at a table at an event and someone coming up to me and asking me a question, and I answered them. And I could, as soon as I met eyes with her, I saw the pain in her eyes. And I said, "Do you want to sit down for a minute?" And she said yes. And as soon as she sat down, she started crying, and she told me that she had a plan to commit suicide.
Oh, wow.
And that hit me so hard because at that moment, I think no matter who you are as a person, whether you're involved in this field, whether you have abilities, whether you don't, whether you're anything like me or not, what do you say to someone that has already made up their mind? How can my words and my presence and my time change her life? Because at any point in time, whether I know you or not, and I didn't know this woman at all, I'd never met her before, how do you save a life? How do you have the power to save a life? So at that point in time, I don't know if it was abilities or divine intervention or whatever it might be, but I hoped to God at that moment, God, Goddess, Spirit, whoever you believe in, that the words that came out of my mouth stopped her. And here I was thinking I was going to be at a Paracon, and I was about to get ready for a lecture. And I was supposed to do something, and I told the director of the entire Paracon that I needed time to do this. And I pushed something back, and I can't remember what that something was, but I was like, hey, just give me a little bit. I didn't eat lunch, and I sat with her for over an hour. And everything that she told me, I told her I had been through that. The horrible things that had made her want to do that, I said, I've been through that. And she couldn't understand why I was okay. And I told her that I wasn't. Going through things in life, just because somebody is okay now doesn't mean that it still doesn't affect them. And she told me that you understand. You actually hear me. And I said, I'm trying. and here I was trying to be Stephanie Burke, psychic medium, at a Paracon about to lecture. And that's not who I am. Like, I'm still a normal person every single day. And had I not been there, maybe she would have gone and committed suicide. I don't know. There's still days, that was back in October, where I check up on her Facebook page to see if she's still alive. And I think that will weigh on my shoulders forever, because I am human. But I try my best every single day to be whoever I'm supposed to be. And I think that a lot of times people think, like, oh, just because you're a psychic medium, you're full of this or full of that, or there's so many frauds out there, or there's so many people out there trying to make it somewhere. I'm just trying to be me. I'm trying to be as raw and as open and real as possible to the world, because you never know how you can change somebody's life. You don't know if you smile at a stranger tomorrow, if it's going to stop them from feeling lonely or sad, or, change their life around. I always tell people, like, one smile can mean the difference between life or death. Taking 5 minutes for someone can mean that too. So it's a wild journey that I'm on. But for whatever reason, it's led me here, and I don't know what the end will be, but I hope I make a difference along the way.
I think you just talking about that makes a difference. I really do. And I want to say thank you for sharing that story and being there for that lady in her massive time of need. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little choked up that you shared that with us. And I mean that in a real positive, thankful way, that you took the time to share that story. Like, I got tears in my eyes. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna BS. It isn't an emotional thing. I have, much like a lot of our listeners, I've been down that road. And for you to be at that exact moment, at that exact time, that stranger needed you, I think is absolutely beautiful. And I think you deserve to be commended for that. I really do believe that. And thank you for not only sharing that story, but for being there for that person. She needed you. And you should be, and I'm sure you've heard it before, but maybe we're repeating things here, but I don't really care. But you needed to be there for her, and you were. And congratulations on that. Seriously, congratulations on that. On that note, Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio with Stephanie Burke. Coming up, we talk about intuitive paranormal, television, whatever else we could fit in Hour 2. Before we go to Hour 3, StephBurke.com is her website, so make sure you check that on out. We'll talk right after the break.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiem. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best-rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook Spaced Out Radio Show.
We're underway in Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon. On the digital side, we're proud to broadcast on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Thank you for joining us and making us your nighttime entertainment. Remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ogdode. Ogdode is your password. Nobody knows what it means, but the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, grab a great book from We Read the Night, join the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. Stephanie Burke is our guest tonight. We're talking intuition and the paranormal. How do they combine with one another? And her website, stephburke.com, if you want to check it on out. I highly suggest you do, because she is a lovely, talented lady who definitely loves her ghosts. Stephanie, welcome back.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You are welcome. I want to ask you this. Let's get into the ghost hunt for a little bit before we get to some more stories. When you go on a ghost hunt, all right, whether you're in a big group or just with a few people around, what's it like being able to investigate while being able to communicate at the same time? Because most of us do not have that ability when we go on a ghost tour, any type of ghost adventure.
It's definitely not what you would expect. I always tell people that how I describe things might not seem as exciting as someone would believe that it is. I've had people forever tell me, I wish I had your abilities. I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. I wish I could be in your head for a day. To me, it's not that exciting because it's been here forever. I started out, I guess, what you would call investigating, because it didn't really have that name until like Ghost Hunters hit sci-fi in 2004. It was exploring to me. It was visiting old places or historical places or places of historical significance, looking to see if anybody was there. I see spirits physically, and I walk around until I see one. That's just kind of how I do it, or how I started off doing it. And once I saw one, we kind of made eye contact. They realized I could see them. I would have a conversation. Who are you? Why are you here? The simple questions. And, it's not like I have to stand there with a recorder and ask those things and wait for a response. Not that I don't think it's the coolest thing ever when you get that response and everybody can hear it, because it's fascinating. But I was always fascinated in their story. Who are they? Why are they here? What are you hanging around for? And are you someone of any type of, historical significance? Because I'm a huge, huge history nerd. So anytime I have the ability to kind of go back into like the history books and be able to have a full-blown conversation with a historical figure that we've all learned about in school, that's kind of fascinating to me and mind-blowing all at the same time. So I was always fascinated with a story not told. I was always fascinated with being a voice for those that no longer have one. And that's kind of where my passion is. As much as I love connecting people with their past loved ones, because that's a different aspect of what I do, the historical aspect has always fascinated me. The mystery and the history has always fascinated me. So when I go into a place and I look for these ghosts, that's kind of just what I did and what I do. And paranormal equipment hit the market, and all of a sudden everybody was fascinated with recorders and beepy meters and flashing lights and breaking radios and tweaking them to do different things. And I remember going on a public ghost hunt with Tim Weisberg and Jeff Belanger, two great friends of mine. Tim is one of my best friends in the entire world. And it was like their first public event ever together. And I went to support them. And I remember walking around, somebody handed me a K2 meter, and it was a type of K2 meter that you had to stick a quarter in order to keep it on, because it didn't have an on and off button, and nobody wanted to hold the button down the entire time. And I remember sticking a quarter in this thing and putting it in my hoodie pocket, and completely forgetting that it was there, because the place that we were in, I was walking around trying to do what I knew how to do. And I remember people freaking out, like, your meter is going off. And I didn't even know that they were talking to me. I had no idea. And I remember not being, like, enthusiastic about it or shocked by it, and people couldn't understand that. And I remember thinking, like, it's just light. That's it. It's just light. So it doesn't mean that a ghost is here. It doesn't mean that a spirit's making it happen, because I know where the spirit is. I'm looking right at it, and it's nowhere near any of you. So that was kind of like my first realization of, like, none of this equipment works. Sometimes it can if they choose to, but it doesn't always mean that that's what that is. So it quickly became interesting to me to sit in the dark for 8 hours and ask questions and try to get evidence, because I wanted to see how the other side lived, so to speak. What was it like to do a scientific approach, which everybody loves to call it, to the paranormal? And then I quickly became bored with it, because it was just not where my expertise was, so to speak. I wanted to experience everything. People forget that, like, I spent a lot of time learning how to be an investigator the way that everybody else does. It's just not for me. I know how to do it, but it's not something that I enjoy, because I have this whole other side to me that I think is more useful, or gets to the answer quicker. But I think the idea of going into places and collecting evidence isn't what we should be doing. Everybody did it for a long time, and it doesn't prove the existence of the afterlife. It doesn't prove anything to a homeowner or a business owner or whatever it might be. I think sometimes it scares both the living and the dead a little bit more than they need to. Going in and giving those that no longer have a voice to speak and tell their story sometimes is all they need. Sometimes you discover things that nobody knew but are historically accurate. Sometimes you change history by figuring out pieces of lost history. I've been able to do these things, and that part weighs more in my list of cool things that I've done than being able to just go in and pay attention to paranormal equipment. I love seeing things on film. I love hearing voices on EVPs, but true spirit communication, I think, is where I shine, but at the same time, it's what really fascinates me, and I think adds something different to an investigation. I think what I was able to do with Amy and Adam on Kindred Spirits, going in and doing a walkthrough, blind, completely blind, and delivering information to them that they could corroborate with evidence that they've received with equipment is fascinating. I think a lot of the investigating that I do with Scott Porter at all the events that we do, where we kind of blend old school with new school, spirit communication with paranormal equipment, mediumship with paranormal equipment, is fascinating. I think that, changing up the game and constantly trying something new and something different in order to get different results is fascinating.
How much has technology affected what you do on an investigation? Because people have become so reliant on it, and yet here you are, somebody who uses their intuition and their own feelings and their own gifts and abilities. I often wonder if we have, lack of a better term, abused the gift of the technology for the sake of wanting to be so much more scientific than what it really is. What's your thoughts?
I think a lot of people waste a lot of time looking down at equipment instead of looking around them. And every event that I've done for the past year and any event I will do in the future, I've been trying to encourage people to use their senses first, to do old school experiments where we're not staring down at something or staring at a phone app, a ghost app. There's a whole list of things that people get lost in or they wait for. I've sat at many events, many investigations, when house calls were a thing back in the day. I sat through hundreds, thousands of those, and I remember everybody sitting in a room staring at one piece of equipment, waiting for a light to go off, instead of looking around them or trying to experience something or, going by any type of gut feeling that they had or being drawn to certain areas. So I think technology has not changed what I do because I have not fallen victim to technology. I think used in the correct manner, it can enhance what I do. I think the downside of technology is it makes people believe that they can do what I do. And it's not necessarily safe because there is no practice or true passion for it. I think people have truly gotten lost in the newest paranormal equipment or the newest gadget or the newest software. But I don't think that that's going to change. I would like to see it change.
So would I.
But I don't know if it will.
But, there is a reality to it. We have become so addicted to devices. Is that healthy for a paranormal community to be like that? Does it make us better? Does it make us worse in the adventure of figuring out the paranormal? That I'm still not convinced with. I really don't know the answer to that.
I think I watch people all the time on social media. When I scroll through and I have a chance to just, pop in and see what's going on, people spending thousands of dollars on equipment and then trying to try it all out. And I think to myself, because I remember way back in the day, people tried to emulate what Ghost Hunters was doing on TV with the truckloads of the Pelican boxes filled with wires and cameras and all this equipment. You would think, just like cell phones, that equipment would get a lot smaller and easier to use over the last almost 20 years, but it hasn't. And the thought process of these people purchasing thousands of dollars worth of equipment and lugging it all with them everywhere they go is almost laughable. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but I mean it in a way of like, your focus is so far beyond what it should be. Your focus is on trying to be the guy or girl or whoever with the most equipment and the best equipment. And like, I have it all. I'm going to discover ghosts and I'm going to share it with you. Like, it's not going to happen that way because, like you said, 90% of people that got involved in this got involved because of something that happened to them. Most of the time, those things that happened to them were not recorded on film or something that is able to be proven to the world. And I just don't think that the world is ready for that yet. And that's why it hasn't been that way. But I think getting back to who we are as a soul rather than who we are as the human suit that we walk around in every day, getting back to that inner core of what we're made out of, who we are and who we're supposed to be, is going to bring us a lot closer to figuring out answers about the afterlife. If we're living right while we're here, if we're connecting with ourselves first, we're going to be able to connect with those that have passed on. Teaching people the methods that I've used over the past couple of years have really, it's freaked out a lot of people. I was never that person that wanted to hold a public event and have people walk away going like, I don't really know how that happened. But it could be explained this way, or that way. I have had the pleasure and the opportunity of working with a lot of different people that are well known in this field and that I respect a ton. But I've always said to them, and they've agreed with me, I want to send people home saying, I don't know how the F that just happened, but I want more. And it's worked out that way. And it's just because I think outside the box. I want to be different. And I know a lot of people that I surround myself with, that I work with, want the same because we've done things the same way for so long. We haven't evolved. We haven't grown. Trying new things, trying different things is so important. Just like, taking the training wheels off a bike, trying a different food. Like, we do these things as we grow in our lives, but we do the same thing over and over again because that's what we're being shown on paranormal TV. And I don't think that it's helping progress the field any.
You're making me feel proud right now because I literally, at 46 years old, just started eating shrimp. So when you said trying a new food there, I did. I'm feeling pretty proud right now that you brought up the whole food aspect. I really am. I'm feeling good about that. So I got a
always
question.
Talk about food. Yeah,
go ahead. Food.
I was like, I co-host Spooky South Coast Radio, and we call it Spooky Snack Coast because we always have to bring up food once. So that's my contribution to your show tonight, and I'll leave the food there, but I got it in once.
Tim Weisberg, who is a good friend of yours, and he's a real fan of what we do. He is your co-host there at Spooky South Coast. I know he's on the air right now doing his own show and everything right now, but, I'm kind of disappointed in Tim, and I'm sure he'll hear this afterwards, so I really don't care. I'm kind of disappointed because he had a great beard going, fantastic beard, and then he went and trimmed it. Trimmed it right up. I am so hurt over that. Just hurt over that.
Are you?
I am.
I couldn't wait till it left.
Oh, he had such a good thing going.
I just was not a fan. And I told him that he had long hair, too, at the same time.
I know.
But I have known Tim for a very long time now, at least a decade, maybe longer. And I've gone through baby-faced Tim and long hair, long beard Tim. And I have to say the Tim that just got a haircut is my favorite.
Yeah, I don't know if we could continue this interview now. I really don't. That's terrible.
It's not
terrible,
I'm not a fan of beard. I date a guy with a beard. But, I didn't like Tim's beard. I was honest with him.
It was big and bushy. It was like one of them. He would have fit for a perfect Canadian. He would have fit the role of perfect Canadian beard. Totally. Throw some plaid on him, and he would have totally been a lumberjack. Totally a lumberjack.
Right. I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well. Hey, we only have a couple minutes here before we got to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, Stephanie Burke is our guest. Question coming in from Joey, who is asking, Stephanie, with your abilities, do you have any quantifiable data concerning your seeing spirits and cold spots being associated to them?
Quantifiable data.
Evidence.
No, I know, but that was an interesting way of putting it. As far as cold spots in my abilities, I mean, I've had people, try to shoot the thermometers at me and different things like that. But I think the coolest thing that I can come up with quickly, I used to work with someone that claimed to be an EVP expert. This was years and years ago, probably a good 10 plus years ago. And he loved recording with me because he felt like every single time that he recorded with me, he got great results. And there was one time where I was relaying to him what was happening and telling him what the spirit was saying. And when you listened back to his recording, you could hear the spirit say it to me and hear me respond to the spirit and then repeat back to him exactly what the spirit said that he already heard because he picked it up on his recorder. And it was an entire conversation. That freaked me out because I could physically hear its voice after I heard it telepathically, if that made sense. So it was a really strange moment for me, but there's been a lot of little moments like that have happened that keep me going. Because sometimes, the human mind needs the reassurance that you're doing the right thing as well and that what you're doing is correct. Like, I always look for the validation of my abilities, not in a negative sense, but in a way of like, okay, cool, that's validated, that's true. Like when I work with Amy and Adam and I go in blind, Amy comes up after I do my entire thing and points at historical documents and shows me like names, dates, in situations that I brought up that are historically documented. And I love to work with historical societies for that reason, or historians. Like, I absolutely love working with Scott Porter for that reason because he does his research. He's the historian of his career in the paranormal. And I enjoy working with people that do their homework because they can tell me, if somebody's keeping notes the entire time of what I'm saying, they can tell me everything that's historically accurate after the fact. And I enjoy that part because that's what keeps me going.
Steph, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we're going to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Intuitive paranormal investigator Stephanie Burke. You may have seen her on Kindred Spirits, other shows on all the cable networks. We'll be back with more of Stephanie's stories right after this on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today. Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd Psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a Space Traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Past the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We've got a plethora of features for you there. Check them on out while you're listening on in, unless you are driving. Stephanie Burke is our guest tonight. Intuitive Paranormal is the topic, as she's sharing a lot of her ghost stories with us and investigations and what goes on as an intuitive investigator looking for ghosts, spirits, and everything else in between. Her website is stephburke.com. I highly suggest you check it on out. Stephanie, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Very, very welcome. Now, in regards to being intuitive while ghost hunting, there's always going to be the criticism that people have to take your word. That's why they don't like working with psychics or intuitives or people who can speak with the dead, because they have to take your word for it, and there's no scientific evidence that shows that what you're saying is actually truthful. How do you combat that? To prove that your skills, your abilities, and what you do is very, very real?
I think the idea of people investigating with a psychic medium and having them involved in the investigation from start to finish, from when you take the case to when you end it, is never going to prove anything. And when I tell you I've heard it all when it comes to, well, prove this to me, prove that to me, like dance, monkey, dance. When it comes to abilities, I could make an entire list for you. But it took years of me not doing that in order to prove myself. I was not the person that wanted to shove myself down everybody's throat and try to prove something to the world. Like I told you earlier, I hid anything to do with my abilities from the majority of people. I wanted nothing to do with it. I didn't want the spotlight at all. As far as a public investigation now, I would, an event that I hold, I usually don't tell people what's happening. I let them experience their own experience. And if they ask for my opinion or they ask for what it is I'm picking up on, I wait until everybody's done in order to tell them. Because I don't ever want to ruin it for somebody else or color somebody else's perspective, because the power of suggestion is a serious thing and it works very easily. So I never wanted to be that person that saw everything and experienced everything on an investigation. For those of everyone that's listening that's ever been on an investigation, you all know that there's always one in every group. And that's just obnoxious, and that's not who I am. It took a lot of me hiding in the background and accidentally kind of putting myself out there in order to have people trust me. For example, when I met Tim Weisberg, since we've already talked about him, he had written his book, his first book, and I was introduced to him, and we had a conversation, and he asked me what I thought about the Lizzie Borden house. And I told him my thought process, which I thought was safe to tell him, because there's no way he could know what I was talking about. It turns out that I gave him information that nobody was supposed to know about. So he became intrigued. There was one night that I went to Spooky South Coast before I was a co-host, and he had a medium on the show. And I was sitting in the corner playing on my cell phone, and everybody that was a part of the show had headphones on. And that's the only way that you could hear the callers. And the medium that he had on started to struggle. And I just popped up out of nowhere, that word vomit that I talked about, and just said, "Oh, you're connecting with my brother right now, who's on the phone, and you're talking about my grandfather, and this is what he's trying to tell you." And I don't know if it was because it was a personal connection for me that I just kind of blurted it out, but I went right back to my cell phone and just kept typing away until the end of the show. I didn't realize what I had done. At the end of the show, Tim looked at me and said, "When you decide to come out of the closet with your abilities, I want to be your first interview." Like, what abilities? What are you talking about? Because I thought I was hiding it so well. It wasn't until I saw the YouTube video after the fact that I realized what I had done. And it scared me so bad that I kind of ignored everything for a really long time. And then it became the realization of the logical, analytical thinking of other people that, you know, you can look at someone and tell them all kinds of information about their past loved ones or them or their situation, and someone will always try to come up with ways as to how you could possibly know that without having abilities. I've done it. I've done it to other people that have cold-read me. Some of the most well-known psychics out there have cold-read me, and I'm skeptical about it. So I started to work the way that I did. I go in completely blind, and I work with someone that knows the history of where I'm at in order to keep notes of what it is that I'm saying and have the knowledge to put them side by side at the end of the entire investigation and tell me how much of it matches up. And usually almost all of it does. I honestly, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I can't think of a time where I said something that wasn't correct, because that's just where my passion is at. It's easy to communicate with the dead as often as I do. I find it easier to do than communicating with the living about the dead, because that can be awkward because you still have human error in there where people don't want to accept certain things, or they don't want to talk about certain things. They want to hear what they want to hear. They'd rather talk about their love life than talk about something tragic that happened. So it's a tough thing to prove yourself to anybody. It's a tough thing to put yourself out on the line in order to do that. I know there are people out there that do that because that's what they crave, because they want the attention or they want the notoriety. That's not why I got in this. That's not why I continue on this path every single day. It's giving a voice to those that don't have one and being able to bring peace and comfort to those that have been left behind by those that they love. And I can completely understand both sides of those aspects and how each one feels. So I do what I do in order to help others, but in the meantime, the validation and the proving of what it is that I do is important to me in order to prove to others that I do this accurately and to the best of my ability, no pun intended. But my reputation means more to me than anything, and I wouldn't put my neck on the line for anything if it meant that I was going to be wrong or I was going to be talked down to or made fun of or whatever it might be. I struggled with that for a long time because I didn't want to just join the crowd of frauds, because it's not a fun place for anybody to be. Some people land themselves there because they deserve it, but if someone does, have an issue and they put you there, you're stuck there. So I never wanted to end up there. And I worked hard to prove to, I don't want to say the world because I haven't gotten that far yet, but prove to those that work with me and prove to those that have been able to see my work that I am authentic in what it is that I do. And I try to be as authentic as possible at all times.
As you're going through that and you are having all of this communication happen through you, how do you control it? How do you control, because you need to have a life too. And a lot of times with this type of ability, you don't get a day off because spirit is always there. Spirit is always, it doesn't understand what we're going through on a daily basis. At least I don't think it does. I could be wrong, but I'm just curious, like, how do you get time to spend with your family or spend with your friends, or just a relaxing moment in front of the television that you probably don't get too much of, just so you can chill out and relax and not have to deal with what is going on a paranormal basis?
You know, I've heard people for years say, like, oh, you have to set boundaries and you have to tell them to go away and come back at a certain time and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work. They do what they need to do when they need to do it. I learned to never question the motive of a spirit that's coming to you at any particular time, because they could be coming to tell you that they died. They could be coming to tell you that somebody else is about to die. They could be coming to save your life. I'm not going to question that at all. I'm not going to set up a boundary and force them out of my circle in case they have something important to bring to me. I remember, I think I was 17, and I was driving down the road, and I was taking a left turn onto my grandparents' street. And it's the way that I went home every single day. It is the way that my parents went home. It is something that was comfortable to me. And I remember stopping, came to a full stop, had my blinker on. Even though, you know, I was a teenage driver, I was still in the right and doing the right thing. And I remember hearing a voice that said, "Put your seatbelt on." And I was like, whoa, you know, where did that come from? And I had a friend in the passenger seat, and I was, did you just say something? She's like, no, and I heard, "Put your effing seatbelt on." And, you know, too cool for school at that point. You know, I didn't have my seatbelt on. I was driving a little Mustang. And at that point, I was like, whoa, like that voice kind of like startled me a little bit. I was like, whatever, what's it going to hurt? I'll just put the seatbelt on. As soon as I clicked the seatbelts, I got rear-ended by someone without car insurance or a license going about 50 miles an hour, and I smashed my face on my windshield.
Oh, my goodness.
So had I not put my seatbelt on, I probably would have gone through the windshield because I was at a complete stop. So I learned not to question. I learned to trust fully in something that's not always there, which is a really weird way to put that, but that's the best that I can do. You know, there are times where, like, some bother me and I just know that it's not anything important. I'm like, okay, go away, like, not now. But I don't ever shut that door because I don't know what that door is going to bring me. And who am I to question it? Because they know a heck of a lot more than we do. And there's reasons as to why those things happen. There's reasons as to why everything happens. But if I start questioning the reason, then I'm moving backward, not forward.
Little Ronnie Moniak has a question in the SOR Space Travelers Club. He is asking, Stephanie, have you encountered dark entities, and how do you protect yourself from that?
That's a really good question. Yes, I have encountered dark entities. Yes, they are completely rare. People think demons exist on every street corner, and like you can buy one at the store for 99 cents. They are not that common. I've experienced probably a handful in my lifetime. I've heard some people say that because I experienced one, I'm able to experience others, where some people never experience them. I don't really know how much truth there is to that. They're not fun. As far as protection goes, and this is a really common question, even at events that I do, even, you know, in my inbox right now on social media, protection is something that is personal to you. So if you're not a religious person at all, and I tell you that a crucifix is going to protect you, is your faith in that crucifix at all? Or is it just a piece of wood or metal to you? If I tell you that 24 different stones carried around in all of your pockets, in every piece of clothing that you have, are going to protect you, and you're a super religious person and don't believe in any of that, all it is a rock. So I always tell people, whatever it is that works for you is best. You know, if you're super religious, pray. That's great. If you're into witchcraft, do your rituals. That's awesome. If you're into crystals and that works for you, amazing. You know, I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I've learned a lot along the way between, I mean, to be completely honest, I was born and raised hardcore Irish Catholic. I went to Catholic school for about half of my life. My grandmothers were a bunch of practicing witches. And I blend the two together. You know, whatever works for me works best. You know, I add Reiki into all of that and the stuff that I've learned from being able to manipulate energy with Reiki, and it all works for me, but it might not work for somebody else. So I always tell people to find whatever it is works for them. And if you have a tough time finding what works for you, try everything. See what resonates with you. See what feels good. See what makes you feel strong and empowered and away from all of it. But I always tell people the one thing that's universal is when you go someplace, just say, nothing's allowed to follow me home when you walk out. Because you're setting your own boundary with things that are within and usually confined to one space. You know, if you want protection, ask for protection. Just know who it is that you're asking. You know, whether it's something, you know, whether you believe in God, whether you believe in archangels, whether you believe in the flying spaghetti monster. It doesn't matter, as long as it feels good to you.
Do you carry protection with you? Crystals, Palo Santo, any type of magical type item?
If I told you yes all the time, I would be a liar. And sometimes you don't necessarily have time to prepare for something like that. You know, I do my own type of protection daily just to protect myself from other people's energy. So that's kind of like my first defense mechanism. Other little rituals and stuff like that are personal to me. But I don't always have crystals in my pockets. I don't always have, like, protective jewelry on. I don't always burn sage or Palo Santo. I mean, I should probably more often, but I don't always, because I have the belief that my ancestors have my back, that my spirits are with me all the time and are helping protect me, but that's because I've connected myself so deeply to them that I have that belief. When you start doing work like that, the game changes. You're digging deep into your roots in what came before you. And I think that has a whole other level of power to it than just a crystal in your pocket. So starting small with, you know, carrying things with you is great. You know, carrying a piece of Palo Santo wood in your pocket is not going to do much for you. It's a piece of wood. If you burn it, maybe. But all around the world, we have different beliefs about all these different things. I met a gentleman who was from Canada, who lived on the reservation. And he said to me, "Why are shows always burning sage? I don't understand it." He said, "That's not going to get rid of your spirits." And he taught me about his Native American background and how they believe that when you have a spirit in your house, you're supposed to feed it. And that fascinates me. So I kind of got into this whole, I was already on that journey, but that pushed me further to understand other people's backgrounds and their cultures and where they came from and their stories that were passed down from their ancestors, and watching the patterns between completely different cultures and how fascinating that was. And then understanding like where the communication breakdown was between certain cultures in order to come up with some of the practices that we have today, and learning different things from other magical practitioners was extremely helpful in working with the living, but also with the dead.
Interesting. We only have about just over 90 seconds here before we go to break. Or actually about 2.5 minutes. I apologize. I read my clock wrong here. Before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Stephanie Burke is our guest tonight. Do people go overboard with the protection? Do people go overboard with the crystals and they have to have a crystal for every moment that goes through the day, whether it's, this Mercury retrograde stuff or just because they're going to visit an aunt or an uncle that they don't like? I mean, has it gotten to the point of ridiculousness?
I definitely think for some people, yes, but I think that we can be ridiculous and overboard about anything, not just necessarily paranormal or magic. I think it's interesting that people turn to those things instead of facing real-life problems sometimes, but I think sometimes it does work for them. But it's those that do it quietly that it probably works for, rather than people that just blast it out there on social media. I watch people sometimes with all kinds of rings and jewelry and pockets stuffed full of things. I'm like, that's so much, but there's no way that any of that's even doing something for you, because you have to pick one thing and stick with it, or pick two things and stick with it. So, I think people get lost in the word protection. I think people get lost in wanting that, and they'll buy anything that says protection on it, which I think is silly. And you can't knock Mercury, because Mercury is a real thing.
Really? You buy the whole retrograde thing?
It's a scientific phenomenon, yeah. Like if you read up, like NASA's reported on it, like the act of Mercury retrograde or a planet going into retrograde is an actual physical scientific phenomenon. Just like the moon rises and sets, just like moon phases are a real physical thing. Like they have spiritual meanings to them, but it is an actual thing that occurs.
I will have to look into that more. I will.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will look into that more for sure. We only got about 40 seconds before we need to go to break here. What do you advise people who are new to the community or just looking for a different answer in regards to protecting oneself on a paranormal investigation?
Start with the why you want to do this. What makes you want to investigate? And, if you're searching for demons, go home, you're drunk. But if you're looking for answers, think about what means the most to you. What works for you. Like, if the closest person in the world to you was your dead grandmother and you want to wear a piece of her jewelry to protect you, okay, great. If you're super into crystals and you've studied up on them and you understand the meanings and the properties behind them, then that works for you. If you're religious and a crucifix works for you, that's great. But pick something personal to yourself.
Right.
And go with it, and stand by who you are, and don't be afraid to be who you are, because even though people might not understand you, it's okay.
I got to cut you off right there, because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Stephanie Burke joins us for another 30 minutes. Then we get to the news and the thought of the day in hour 3 next on Spaced Out Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chide and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best-rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thieme. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spicing up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are on this great planet we call Earth. We want to thank everyone listening in on UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Happy birthday, Joe Montaldo. Hope you had a great one. WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia. KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas. KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon. And down in Ridgecrest, California, KZFX 93.7 FM. On the digital side, we're proud to broadcast on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ogdode. Ogdode is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. You could grab a great book from We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. For the final time tonight, we introduce Stephanie Burke. She is an East Coast paranormal investigator who uses her intuition to communicate with those on the other side. Her website, stephburke.com. Highly suggest you check it out. You probably recognize her from her appearances on numerous ghost shows, including Kindred Spirits. Steph, welcome back to the show.
I'm back. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. We're going to start off with a question on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio from Andrew in North Vancouver. He's got great hair. Very tight, very tight, very tight. You know what? Andrew is a really cool listener, an amazing artist. He's actually drawn a couple of Spaced Out Radio pictures and sent them to me. They are fantastic. Just an incredible artist. So thank you, Andrew. Again. He is asking, Stephanie, do you ever feel challenged by residual effects of dealing with the paranormal? For instance, can you sometimes be broached by depression? If so, how do you know if that's you or if it's a spirit you've contacted, and how do you deal with that situation?
That's a great question. I can think of many different answers, but I'm not sure if any of them really answer his question. So I have been to places that have residual energy that have affected me to my core, to the point where I have not had control over them. And I knew that it was different than my norm. Just, I think, as anybody that battles anxiety or depression knows when it hits, because it feels different than okay. I deal with anxiety myself, so I understand, like, if I'm okay and then all of a sudden anxiety hits, like, okay, something's not okay right now. Anxiety and depression are, like, really common things that most people with ability to deal with, or most people that are just sensitive to energy deal with. So I recall my first trip to Gettysburg. People tell you to prepare yourself. I don't think there's any way to truly prepare yourself for something such as Gettysburg. But I remember going, and I was fine. And I made it through, I think, 2 days. And then the last day, my boyfriend and I were on the battlefield till it closed. And I remember feeling burnt out, completely burnt out, because I can only handle so much. And I think I handled way more than I thought I could. And I kept pushing through. And for 3 days after I got home, I was a complete basket case, like crying at the drop of a dime, not understanding what was wrong with me. And then it finally was gone. It was just so much that I had soaked up that I just needed to release it and let it go. And I probably could have done a lot of things in order to, like, push it out faster, but I didn't really understand what was happening because I never dealt with anything to that magnitude before. But as far as smaller instances, I can walk into a room and pick up on somebody's emotions immediately and sometimes take them on as myself. And they're living. They're not past. And that's tough too. Like, and a lot of people do that. When you walk into work and you have a really cranky coworker and it automatically puts you in a bad mood. It's similar to that, but sometimes you take on the full effect of their emotions, which can be really difficult. So it took a long time to learn what was me and what was not me. And something as extreme as Gettysburg, I had not experienced previous. So it was a learning lesson for me. But knowing and realizing and kind of really, keeping yourself in check as far as, mental well-being and physical well-being, emotional well-being, really teaches you, who you are on a daily basis. And, you might deal with your own demons, and knowing those things and being able to recognize those things and what feels like you and what doesn't feel like you is really important. So, journaling, taking notes of what you're going through, what you're feeling, watching for patterns. Like, did I go somewhere and pick up something that might not be so nice? Or have I been home for the past 3 weeks and haven't gone anywhere and I feel depressed? Just really keeping tabs on yourself and understanding what you're going through at that time, what you're experiencing, and going from there. And, there's a starting point for everybody, and that starting point is going to be different with every single person because we all don't go through the same thing at the same time. But, keeping track of yourself and paying attention to you. And self-care is super important. Taking care of yourself is really important too. So all those factors add up to what you can do about it. But I'm not perfect, and I don't always take care of myself either.
I want to ask you, in regards to something that I've kind of been looking into recently, in regards to paranormal television. And I think there's a lot of talent on paranormal TV. The thing that irks me about it is we continuously see the exact same show on every different network, which is going in usually and proving or disproving whether or not a place is haunted. There are very few shows out there that deal with any sort of mystery or actually helping to solve anything. And I think that's a real detriment to the talent in this field, that a lot of television networks haven't really gone down the storytelling road rather than the same of what we are used to seeing over and over the last 15, 16 years. My question for you in regards to this is, why are we as paranormal investigators limiting ourselves so much, especially when it comes to television? We're not finding those mysteries of those small towns that may be just off, the highways or way up in the mountains. We seem to be more concerned with the same places every single season of paranormal television. What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are I've had this conversation at least 47 times this past year because it's true. And some of my closest friends are on those shows, or I've worked on those shows, and it's the same over and over and over again. And that's nothing to do with them as people or investigators. It has everything to do with what the network thinks will sell to an audience. You know, they're not catering those shows to a paranormal audience. They're catering them to the average housewife that's watching TV, laying in bed at night. But people think, just as many people did in 2004, that by watching these shows, they're going to learn something. And they're going to be able to emulate what it is that people do on TV and change nothing and just like wash, rinse, repeat. That's the method that they're using for paranormal investigating. You know, wash, rinse, repeat. That's it. And I don't agree with it. I have tried to teach people a different way. I've had conversations with Scott many a times about his show and how it's no different, and that he had no control over that either. But in the events that we do together, we try to do different things and show people what we're truly passionate about in order to move them on from the TV version of what's going on. It's amazing to hear how many people think that a 44-minute episode of TV is actually all that happens. It's amazing to hear them think that we all have a choice as to whether or not we're on TV or not, or that we have control over, you know, certain things that happen. You know, some do, some don't, but it's the days of ghost hunters on Sci-Fi being what it was, and then people, you know, teaching paranormal one-on-one classes, ghost hunting classes. As silly as those were, I think some of them were beneficial to people to just teach them the ethics of ghost hunting, like being respectful. I think that got lost somewhere along the way with people emulating certain TV shows. People think that's all it takes, and they're not willing to look further because the majority of those people are looking to be that next person on TV. So they're just copying what they see because the networks are putting out these cookie-cutter shows. And they think if they can do that, they can do it just as good as the people that are on there. They can do it just as good as the next person. But I think the want and the willingness to go beyond what they see is going also beyond their comfort zone. And they're not forward thinkers, or maybe they are and they're just too afraid to put themselves out there and be different, because being different is weird. Even though I think weird is a good thing, most people might not. There's a lot of different reasons as to why people are doing this. I don't agree with it. I know a lot of people that don't agree with it. But if it's the easy way out, most people choose to, you know, pick the low-hanging fruit as opposed to climbing up the tree and picking the good stuff. It's just how society works sometimes. And I'm hoping that that eventually changes for the better and people start thinking for themselves or questioning certain things or wanting to explore more outside the box. Some of the most amazing things that have happened to me in my career have been because I have gone outside the box. I've gone against the grain. I've been the different, weird kid. I've been able to communicate with historical figures. I've been able to, you know, help rewrite history or solve mysteries. Those are the things that I love, not necessarily, you know, standing and doing a TV show or, you know, doing a private case or whatever it might be. But finding what works for you and who you are is so important too. And I think people have really lost that in everyday life, never mind paranormal investigating.
I would love to see more passion put into this, into paranormal. television. I really would. I would love to see what happens when we actually start to push the adventure limit rather than going to known haunted locations and known areas where there is a lot of spirit activity. There are so many mysteries out there that have not been discussed, and they are so remote, and they're dying to be told. Told. You being very close to those in paranormal television and knowing that it's the network's call, it's not the investigator's call, it's the network's call. Do you see a day where these mysteries may be told, not with stupid reenactments that we've seen over the years with, E-list actors and actresses? No, I'm saying just real investigation combined with these real mysteries out there. Is that even possible?
I think with the way that cable is changing right now, I mean, if you look at TV in general, not even paranormal, so many people are canceling their cable subscriptions to go with something like a Netflix or a Hulu or Roku or Fire Sticks or all these different streaming services. Some people don't even have a TV. They just have a cell phone and Amazon Prime. Some people just strictly watch YouTube all day. All of these different outlets are out there. And I think that if your story is compelling enough, or if you're doing the work and you're hustling and you're different than other people and you have a different approach to things, you might be able to change the face of anything. Look at pop stars. For example, someone like Billie Eilish. She's 17 years old and she's changing the face of pop music as we know it. And that might not be the best example, but digging into her background and hearing her story, she blew up overnight just for being herself. And I think that, the attitude that she has about fame is also extremely interesting. So if you're truly passionate about what you do and you're trying to change the face of paranormal investigating or paranormal anything as we know it, and you want to uncover the mystery and history and just try to be different and go in a way that other people might follow because they're interested in that too. It's not just a quickie little, oh my God, did you hear that? Run away. And all of a sudden you're sitting down with homeowners trying to, reveal evidence because that's been the cookie cutter formula for so long. And there's nothing wrong with that either. People enjoy that. But I feel like there's so much more out there. And of course, there's so much more that goes into these episodes that gets cut out by the production company and the network, which sometimes some of the best stuff hits the cutting room floor. But anything at any moment can change the face of everything that we do, whether paranormal or not. It could be something in everyday life. So why not give it a try? If you are different and want to be different, go for it. Change the way that we think about things. A simple conversation with people get freaked out about the whole ghost thing or psychic thing or whatever it might be. And I have just a real, raw, passionate conversation with them. I find some of the most interesting people, some of the most religious people, starting to question what I told them, starting to think about what I told them. And I can watch their wheels turn. I can see that they're interested in what it is that I'm saying, even if they don't want to believe it. But if you can change one mind at a time, or you can get the attention of just one mind at a time, there's no telling what can possibly happen. We don't have to have these big production companies or networks behind us in order to change the world. You just have to start, and it always starts with one.
We only got about 4 minutes left with you tonight. We got a couple questions from our audience, and I want to try and sneak in. So if we could be quick with these, that would be wonderful. We'll start off with a little bit of Ronnie Maniak here, the Ukrainian watermelon. He is asking, Stephanie, how do you shut off spirits talking to you so you can have some personal privacy?
I can't. It's not like a possible thing. I always tell people it's like those old radios where you would just turn the knob all the way down, but you could still hear it faintly in the background. That's what my everyday is like. I just got used to it. It's been like this for over 30 years.
Over 30 years? I would never take you for over 30. Look how young you look.
I am. It's true.
Oh my gosh!
But thank you. It's appreciated.
We'll just clap for you right now. Oh, God bless you for that. God bless you for that. All right, let's go over to Twitter, where Greco is asking, is it possible to visit and interact with ghosts while astral projecting, to your knowledge?
To interact with ghosts while astral projecting. I'm going to have to think about this to think if I've ever done that. You can astral project into a lot of different places. But I don't know if I've ever talked to a ghost while doing it. That threw me for a loop. But I can't see why it's not possible, because if you look at the science of astral projecting, you can project into the past, into the future, into the present. So why not? And if you want to get technical, if you astral project into the past, you can have a conversation, which they're already gone. So it's technically a ghost, but not in the literal sense. So, I mean, that's interesting. And I mean, anything's possible, so why not?
All right. We got about 2 minutes left here tonight. And I want to say a big thank you to you for coming on in here and hanging out with us again. I promise next time it's not going to be like 18 months plus. I promise. Because I know you don't do a lot of interviews, and we're one of the ones that you actually don't mind doing. I'll make sure this time around. How about that?
I think I'm going to hold you to it. Because
you should.
It is one of the very few that I enjoy doing, and I don't do a lot. So I enjoy the intellectual conversation that you provide, and your listeners are always super welcoming and super open-minded. And apparently I made I either made a big stink or had a big hit with a flying spaghetti monster. So I'll bring that back with me next time, too.
No, you hit peak woo with the flying spaghetti monster. That is what we strive for each show. So Derek on Twitter is very, very excited that we were able to hit peak woo tonight. So perfect. I appreciate that. With less than a minute to go here, Stephanie, do me a favor, please, and tell everybody where they could find more information about you, your work, your website, everything.
So my website is stephburke.com, and you should be able to, it's still in progress. It's still being changed every single day, so don't hold me to everything on there. But you can find me on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and at Work at Burke. Or if you can't find that, then just go to my website, stephburke.com, and I think the link should be up there. But I think my email is up there too. But definitely, reach out about anything. I'm always happy to answer questions. I'm always happy to have conversations with people. And with the amount of traveling I do, I hope to meet any of your listeners wherever I may be this year.
Awesome. And for you, I hope you have an amazing 2020. We'll hopefully get you back on the air before the end of this year. That is my goal. Maybe around Halloween time when you're nice and busy and can't afford like 10 minutes. We'll still try and sneak you in there. Because of the time difference. But Stephanie, you continue to stay amazing and continue being the best that you could be. We love having you on here. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave, so stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio right after this.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a Space Traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiener. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have you with us. Yeah, absolutely love having you here. If you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to some Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. You can grab a great book from We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. Speaking of the news, let's get to it. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the downright dangerous. You know, the forest fires in Australia have been just out of control this year, and unfortunately today, 3 Americans died tragically when a C-130 Hercules aerial water tanker that they were flying in crashed while battling wildfires in the snowy Monaro region of Australia. New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian confirmed the deaths and the crash in the comments to reporters as Australia attempts to deal with this unprecedented fire season. Coulson Aviation in Oregon said in a statement that one of its C-130 Herculeses, it was lost after it left Richmond in New South Wales with retardant for a firebombing mission. It was the accident, or it said that the accident, rather, was extensive but had few other details. The only thing I have from the field reports are that the plane came down, it's crashed, and there was a large fireball associated with that crash, according to Rural Fire Service Commissioner Shane Fitzsimmons. He did say that all 3 aboard were U.S. citizens. Unfortunately, all we've been able to do is locate the wreckage and the crash site. We have not been able to locate any survivors as of yet. So prayers to their families for these heroes trying to battle those forest fires there. All right, moving on here. Here's another sad story. Just ahead of Super Bowl 2020, the legendary Mr. Peanut has passed away at the age of 104. It's with heavy hearts that we confirm that Mr. Peanut has died at 104. The announcement post reads, "In the ultimate selfless act, he sacrificed himself to save his friends when they needed them the most. Please pay your respects with hashtag RIPeanut." In accompanying video at the 2020 Super Bowl pregame ad, Mr. Peanut can be seen in a Planters ad driving to the big game in the Nutmobile with his pals Matt Walsh and Wesley Snipes. During the drive, Walsh sees an armadillo in the road and yells, "Ah, look out!" To avoid the animal, Mr. Peanut swerves and the Nutmobile goes over a cliff. The 3 friends are able to abandon the car and grab onto a branch. However, they soon realize all 3 of them were too heavy. After noticing that the branch was starting to break, Mr. Peanut tips his hat to his friends and let go. Maybe he'll be all right, Snipes says, as they watch Mr. Peanut land near his Nutmobile. However, seconds later, the Nutmobile explodes, and Snipes declares, maybe not. According to the press release by Planters on Thursday, the above ad will play during the Super Bowl pregame show. Then, during the third quarter of the game, the brand's official commercial will air, broadcasting Mr. Peanut's funeral. The 2020 Super Bowl kicks off in Miami on Sunday, February 2nd. Oh, I am just devastated by Mr. Peanut and his monocle. Gone. Forever. Maybe he'll make a comeback. I don't know. A mutant goat is being worshipped as an avatar of God after it was born with a flat face and strange human-like eyes in India. The young animal, which has human-like eyes and mouth, was born recently in Namodia village on the outskirts of Jaipur. Owner Mukeshi Prajapap posted a short video of the black goat with a strange face inside his hut earlier this week. Yeah. In other snaps, it has also seemed to be glaring at the camera and looking away when Mr. Prajapap reaches out to touch its scalp. It may have suffered the facial deformity due to a rare congenital defect called cyclopia, which usually causes a single eye to form on the forehead. Goats may be considered a holy animal in India, although Hinduism names the cow, monkey, snake, elephant, and tiger among its 5 holiest animals. However, goats are named in part of the Vedas, Hindu religious texts, as an animal of importance. A goat with a facial structure of a human was born in India in 2017. Its nose resembled a human's, and it also had a delicate nose and lips. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to lie. This thing is ugly. Both of them are ugly. Really ugly. And in the same year, a Cyclops kid with just a single eye was born in the village of Assam, India. The animal had a single eye, which can happen during fetal development when the brain fails to divide into 2 parts. The same animal had only 1 complete ear, a lack of a true nose, eyelids, and eyelashes, and unusually small and missing teeth. Terrible. Feel sorry for the animals. I do. All right. Officials at an Arizona airport said 3 arriving flights were delayed briefly while a coyote was spotted wandering near the runway. Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport said 3 flights circled the airfield Monday morning while airport employees worked to remove the coyote. A spokesman said the workers were able to guide the coyote towards a gate where it exited the airfield grounds unharmed. The 3 flights landed after a brief delay, and the airport operations soon returned to normal. Yeah, there was no sign of a roadrunner, just to clarify. It's a well-burnishing saying, stress makes your hair turn gray. Lord knows it worked for me. But is there actually a correlation between stress and losing the natural hair color? According to a new study in Nature, there is in fact a direct link between stress and graying. Over the past 2 decades, researchers have found preliminary evidence that stress plays at least a small role in initiating the graying process. But our understanding of how that works has been murky until now. It hinges on melanocytes, pigment-making cells that give our hair its color. Scientists knew losing these cells in hair follicles robs hair of its luster, but they had yet to pin down the mechanism responsible for triggering the depletion of the melanocytes. Now, scientists finally have their answer, the fight or flight response. The answer wasn't so easy to pin down, though. A stem cell biologist at Harvard University says, for example, the researchers first assumed the hair was graying was driven by a reaction from the immune system or the release of stress hormones. But after removing immune cells and stress hormone receptors in mice, they were actually surprised to find that the animal's coats still turned gray. After being injected with resin-inferritoxin, a compound that causes pain and stress instead of the immune system or stress hormones. Researchers found the actual culprit was sympathetic nervous systems, responsible for the fight or flight response. When we eventually realized this sympathetic nervous system was driving the process, that was really a surprise, the scientists wrote. Sympathetic nerves stimulate hair follicles. For example, they're responsible for goosebumps when we do get scared or in a cold freeze, but when we're stressed, the sympathetic nerve system triggers the release of a chemical called noradrenaline that primes us for action. It's good in situations where we need to be physically roused, but the unfortunate side effect is our hair. What the hell is this word? Noradrenaline, there it is, the researchers found causes melanocyte stem cells to differentiate and eventually move away from hair follicles. The result is gradual depletion of melanocyte cells and the loss of hair color they provide. Okay, so now we all know why we're gray. Thank you. Thank you. Stress. Want nice hair? Well, I have nice hair. I'm not going to lie. It's just a different color. Thank God for hair color, man. Thank God for hair color. Yes, I'm coloring my beard for San Francisco. I will admit that. I will admit that publicly. You know, I don't mind the gray hair on top. I really don't. It's more silverish, mixed with some blonde in there. I hadn't been blonde since I was like 3-4 years old. But the beard, the white beard, the Santa Claus beard that I got going on right now, no way. That's got to go. It's got to go. Going back to the natural hair color for San Fran when I speak at UFOCon 2020, February 20th to 23rd in San Francisco. UFOCon2020.com if you want to check it on out. All right. When Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 CE, the heat was so extreme in some places that it vaporized body fluids and exploded the skulls of several inhabitants unable to flee in time. Now archaeologists have determined that the heat was also fusing brain tissue into glass in one victim. The discovery is described in a new short paper in the New England Journal of Medicine. The eruption released thermal energy roughly equivalent to 100,000 times the atomic bombs dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki at the end of World War II, spewing molten rock, pumice, and hot ash over the cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum in particular. Pliny the Younger wrote of broad sheets of flame and a rain of ash in a letter to historian Tacitus, the letter's sole surviving eyewitness account of the disaster. The vast majority of victims died of asphyxiation, choking to death on the thick clouds of the noxious gas and ash. But a study in 2001 estimated a temperature of 300 degrees Celsius or 572 degrees Fahrenheit for the pyroclastic surge that destroyed Pompeii, sufficient to kill inhabitants in fractions of a second. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Because, you know, what happens in 79 CE completely affects what we do today. Completely affects what we do today. You're paying for that. Oh, yeah. You're paying for that. Okay, this guy happens to be the worst upstairs neighbor ever. Police in Auburn, Washington, released recently footage of a bizarre situation they believe is occurring at a local grocery store. After several reports of possible break-ins and employees claiming to hear footsteps coming from the ceiling, police believe that an unknown individual has spent several weeks hiding up in the store's rafters. But while evidence of the suspect has been found at the scene, authorities still have not located the man and have not ruled out the possibility that he may still be in the store. Over the weekend, authorities with the Auburn Police Department shared surveillance footage on their Facebook page from the Hagen supermarket at Lake Tips Boulevard, showing a man sneaking around inside the store on Christmas Day. Auburn police had been called to the grocery store on 5 occasions since Christmas Day, the police department said. On that day, the suspect stole thousands of dollars worth of cigarettes and liquor. There have been 4 additional 911 calls since then, 2 on January 15th, 1 on the 16th, and another on the 17th. According to the Post, employees have reported seeing or hearing the suspect in the rafters above the ceiling. In each case, the Post continues, officers search above the false ceiling, but came up empty. Another employee saw a man's legs dangling from the ceiling in a supply closet. Auburn Police Commander Mike Herman told the outlet that they had found evidence of someone poking around the ceiling, but no culprit so far. We have found where someone had been, he says. There's ventilation that had been moved and tracks that had been moved. We spent probably 4.5 hours up there in the rafters trying to hunt this guy down with no success. Authorities have reportedly used infrared technology and canine units to try and track down the man, but apparently have not had any luck so far. And finally, Everett Themer's going to hate this one because he hates spiders. Absolutely hates spiders. Following weeks of incomparable wildfires tempered by the torrential rainfall, the land down under is encountering an influx of funnel web arachnids, which is being referred to as spider showers. Yes, it is being reported the continent's 40 types of poisonous funnel web spiders are more likely to make their way into homes now because of the country's wet conditions. This time of year, when you get those afternoon storms, you're more likely to encounter them. Spider expert Jake Meany says, according to Meany, the rain creates a combination of cool temperatures and humidity that motivates funnel web spiders to get out and about. Yeah, they get a little social. They gravitate toward moist places like laundry rooms and the insides of people's shoes. Male funnel web spiders are reportedly 6 times more poisonous than females and are known for getting really adventurous in their travels to find a mate. Yeah, keep your pinky toes away from this guy. Sydney funnel web spiders is Australia's most lethal arachnid. That is because they are an aggressive, thanks to an aggressive anti-venom campaign. It's been more than 30 years since anyone was killed by a funnel web spider. Many ask Aussies who encounter a funnel web spider to try and trap it in a jar so that its venom can be used to make life-saving antidotes. Funnel webs cannot climb up glass or plastic, so once you put the lid on tightly, the funnel web cannot get out. Homeowners wishing to steer clear of the funnel web spiders altogether are advised to keep their lawns short. You know, if you have a deadly spider like that and you find it in your house, the last thing I am doing is capturing the thing. No way. No way. It's going to see the bottom of a shoe and go to spider heaven pretty darn quick. I'm sure you would agree with me on that. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. Who is the best female ghost hunter out there right now? Love Cue to Rebra by Bumblefoot. Awesome song. Awesome song. One day I may just use that for the intro. I doubt it, but I'm going to play that more one day on the show because I just love that song. All right, let's start off with our lovely and talented Amber Beckerud around here. Snarkily, she says, "It's me, Dave. It's me, the best female ghost hunter out there." Then she goes, "But seriously, Amy Bruni or Katrina Weidman, they are both professional, seasoned, and they take their jobs very seriously. I have major respect for them." Zion, you mean there are females who are ghost hunters? Where? Well, they're pretty much everywhere. Almost every team has them. Jeremy, Amy Bruni. Her and Adam Berry have chemistry together on Kindred Spirits, plus Amy shows compassion towards the spirits she encounters. Joe, Jessica Alba. She took a selfie and there was a ghost in the mirror. Actually, it wasn't a ghost. It was me hiding in her bedroom, but that's a whole different story and a whole list of probably police problems, Joe. You might want to not do that. Yeah, the police don't really like that, and I don't think Ms. Alba would either. Jamie, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Why? Because she's so darn hot. J.A., Katrina Weidman. She is professional, rarely gets startled, and has balls of titanium. I know what she uses those for. Keep her shoes fresh, maybe? I don't know. She genuinely looks like she's trying to find out why, who, etc. Not like the others. Bro, dude, insert girly scream. Yup, haunted. See ya, on to the next. The type that just look for ratings and not caring about anything else. Robert. All right. Daphne Blake. Together with her teenage companions, Fred, Shaggy, Rogers, Velma Dinkley, and Shaggy's Great Dane, Scooby-Doo, Daphne would engage in solving various mysteries. Daphne was portrayed as the enthusiastic but clumsy and danger-prone, hence her nickname, Danger-Prone Daphne, revealed by her cousin Shannon. Being danger-prone is a Blake family trait in Scooby-Doo and the Loch Ness Monster. Member of the gang who always follows her intuition, she sure serves as a damsel in distress and would occasionally get kidnapped, tied up, gagged, and left in prison. Scooby and Shaggy usually saved her, but sometimes Fred and Velma, or even the whole gang, would do it. But as the franchise went on, she became a stronger, more independent character who could take care of herself. Daphne's character is the most developed in the starring cast, going from klutzy teenager to a successful journalist to an ingenious fashionista to a black belt in martial arts. Oh, that is good. Yes. Finally, we'll go with Marty. Marty, our Vietnam veteran that we love around here. He says, Amber and Amy... Amber Beckerud, Amy Bruni, because both are redheads and ghosts are more afraid of redheads than redheads are afraid of ghosts. We'll leave it right there with that one. All right. Thank you to everybody for participating in the Thought of the Day. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Big thanks to Captain Shirk for a fantastic SOR Newswire. You outdid yourself tonight, Captain. Thank you. And, of course, to Stephanie Burke. StephBurke.com is her website for talking about intuitive paranormal. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be, especially to those in our chat rooms on LGAB, Spreaker, Revolution Radio, the Facebook Club, the SOR Space Travelers, and all the cast and crew on our website at Spaced Out Radio. Can't forget the hashtaggers at Spaced Out Radio on Twitter. You snarkers and snarkettes, you were awesome tonight. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for doing your part to make us bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great night, everybody. Tomorrow night on the show, Andrew Hockheimer joins us. We're going down the road of the Philadelphia experiment. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you join us. Good night.